Welcome to Fresh Outlook. I'm Frank Cipolla. We start today with presidential politics. It may be a year and a half from the presidential primary, but already candidates are making their rounds, raising money, and in some cases considering whether they are presidential timber. Political pundits know at least one candidate is in, and that is former First Lady, former Senator, and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton.
Will she or won't she? Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton has kept everyone guessing on a possible run for president in 2016. Many saw her Hard Choices book tour as a test run for the real thing. Now in Mexico City, Clinton offers a timeline for her decision.
So I am going to be making a decision around probably after the first of the year about whether I'm going to run again or not. But I think the most important question anybody should ask who's thinking about it is not whether you're going to run or whether you're going to win. It is, what's your vision for the country?
The former high-profile diplomat ran unsuccessfully for the Democratic nomination against Barack Obama in 2008.
And I will have to be convinced that I have a very clear vision with an agenda of what I think needs to be done, and that I have the experience and know-how to lead not just those who agree with me, but those who disagree with me.
Many see her as the only viable Democratic candidate for 2016, but she's offering no clear-cut dates.
It's a very serious undertaking, so obviously I'm thinking about it, but I have not made a decision yet.
Well, joining us today to discuss who might be the next president of the United States is Alain Sanders. He's a professor of political science at St. Peter's University in New Jersey. The nation's preeminent political psychologist, Dr. Bart Rossi, and former White House aide to President George W. Bush, Dee Dee Benkie. Welcome, everybody. So we have seen that in the polls that Hillary Clinton is way ahead. It's almost like a coronation. And I think this works to her disadvantage. Would you agree or disagree?
I don't think it hurts her at all. I think that the more exposure she gets now, the more we're talking about her. I don't think it's easy for her.
Well, she doesn't need name recognition. She's had name recognition
but I think
for 20
the fact that we're
years.
talking about her helps. I don't think it helps her a lot because she's going to be best when the campaign lights go on. That's when she will prevail.
But she has to be careful. You don't want to become old news. You don't want to peak
Exactly.
too early. And so because she is so well known, she needs to sort of find a careful place where she's talked about, but not too much, because by the time the primaries roll around, she will be old hat. Well, so that's always a problem.
Before we get to Dee Dee, there's a long history in politics of candidates who are well ahead, well in advance, and just faded away. And for Democrats, I think they fear that that will happen, or somebody might emerge, like an O'Malley or a Cuomo, or somebody who might really take her to task. And I think people are looking for somebody, and they don't want to be told who it is. Dee Dee?
Yeah, I would agree. People do not like coronations, and that is a curse that seems to be so far ahead. So early, it's difficult to stay up and keep that energy level. And the Democrats, too, are kind of like, well, is there another choice? What are we looking at?
Well,
Glenn Beck just this week says he believes Hillary Clinton will be the next president. Now, is this a ploy that the Republicans are doing to rally the conservatives?
No. I mean,
why would Glenn Beck say she's going to be the next president?
Because I think he's reflecting a political reality. Right now, it does look like she is a shoo-in, certainly, for the Democratic nomination. And when you sort of match her up against possible Republican candidates, again, she emerges strong and beats all of them. Now, it's a year and a half, so one doesn't know what will happen. But the Democrats, for one, have been looking for a fighter. And I think many in the Democratic Party believe that Mr. Obama has not been a fighter. She presents an image of being able to get
Does former President Clinton help or hurt her in this regard?
Help her immensely.
Helps a lot. But I think, really, Dee Dee has some very good points about maybe people being tired and, the same name. But she has a winning personality. She knows what she stands for. She's very clear, concise, and consistent with her behavior.
See that.
Yeah,
I think she's going to be very feisty. She's going to stand up for what she believes in when the lights go on for this election, and I think she's going to be dominant.
Remember, she was for the Iraq War, and then when she started running for president, she was against it. So,
well,
and I'm not taking a stand on any of the candidates, but when you say she knows what she wants, there have been.
She was for the war when George W. said that there were going to be atomic bombs.
But she voted
But she voted because she thought that there were nuclear weapons, and that was not true.
I don't think that's her biggest problem. She is a dynasty. People are tired of dynasty. And I mean Clinton and Bush. How many Clinton and Bush elections are we going to have? We're going to do another one?
I'm not sure
I don't think people want that. Not only that, on the book tour, she hasn't driven forever. She has all these elitist requests that people look at. Wow. Is she really going to be able to? Now, look, I've worked on the campaign trail. It's hard. She is not going to like it. I don't see it happening.
Well, I mean, I would take issue with you. I mean, I know people like to say we need a new fresh face in Washington. We've had new fresh faces. We had Bill Clinton, we had George W. Bush, and we had Barack Obama. And I think we've all learned that fresh faces take a long time to learn the ropes, and some of them never learn the ropes. And so I would argue that if she presents experience, if she presents dynamism, if she presents a set of policies that look like they are what the majority of Americans want, I think she will continue to be a strong candidate.
Okay.
There's a good case for experience.
Who challenges her? If there's somebody's going to give her a challenge, who will it be? Will it be O'Malley? Will it be maybe Biden runs? Maybe Cuomo runs?
Biden's not going to run if Hillary runs, because he's too much of a player. He's a team player. He's looking for an opening if she says no, which is very unlikely, of course. But I think Biden would be a good candidate by himself, by the way. I really do. I think he would relate to a lot of people. But I think Hillary is much more dynamic, and as a woman, she's going to attract a lot of people of that gender, and I think she's going to be very successful.
If somebody gives her a challenge,
see, I think Biden
is it Elizabeth Warren? Is it?
Yes. Okay. Whatever the challenge will be, and there might be a challenge because many people are dissatisfied. Whoever is the challenger will come from the left. I mean, whether you're talking about Bernie Sanders as a possibility, or Senator Warren as another possibility, or even Governor O'Malley from Maryland, they're all staking out positions on the left. I mean, Senator Warren is well known for her opposition to Wall Street and high finance, and of course, Senator Bernie Sanders is well known. He calls himself a Democratic socialist.
Biden is vice president. I think you all counting him out's wrong. I think he could very well step up and want to run and run anyway. You know, look, he's the vice president. He comes before Hillary Clinton. She was the first lady. She was Secretary of State. But he is the vice president right now. I would not count out Biden.
All right, let's talk about the Republicans, because unlike the Democrats, where Hillary Clinton, every poll shows her way ahead, the Republican field is much more muddled. And probably the front runners right now are Rand Paul, Governor Christie, Paul Ryan, and so on. Are any of these candidates viable Republican candidates?
It will all depend on how civil the Republican Civil War is. You've got the establishment Republicans on one side, you've got the Tea Party Republicans on the other side. In the last presidential election cycle, they basically shot at each other and shot each other in the foot.
Well, and, they had, what, 18 debates?
Yeah, but
that was a problem.
But they have something, whether they have 18 or 2 or 3, what you really got is two very fundamental factions in the Republican Party, and they haven't settled their differences yet. So somebody will emerge, but how damaged that person will be still remains to be seen.
To the benefit of the Democrats,
right?
and
Of course.
Okay,
and
let's
of course
talk
we
about.
Don't know that.
Let's talk about the man who was the star a year ago, and everybody loved him, but they fell out of love with him. Marco Rubio, the senator from Florida. Does he stand a chance?
Absolutely. I don't think people have fallen out of love with him. He's definitely, he's young. He gets the Latino vote from Florida. He's a great candidate, and I think that he's absolutely viable.
Well, to Dee Dee's point, I think that Rubio has a really dynamic personality. He is a good speaker. He projects well. I don't think he's come across as well as he could have in the past.
Well, he had the case where he was drinking water during one of the...
But
you know what? He stepped on his words a couple times,
yes.
But he is a sleeper in this whole thing because I think he does project well. However, I can say who's not going to be a candidate. I'm not sure he's going to be governor, and that's Christie. I think his Bridgegate scandal is only in the 4th inning. So I think he's out of the picture.
You do.
And I think the most interesting one, though, is Rand Paul, because his personality is not, I wouldn't say necessarily a winning personality, but he's more interesting and exciting as a candidate. So I think
he knows how to press the buttons.
Yes.
I would share Dr. Rossi's views in general. I mean, I think the problem with Christie is not just Bridgegate, which will emerge, but it's also his personality, his aggressiveness, and his bulliness.
But unfortunately, Republicans like that sort of personality. We've seen that.
They might like that sort of possibility, but when you're thinking about the president, the person who's going to have his finger on the button, I think people want a calmer personality, a more distanced personality.
Before we leave Christie, let's discuss real quick that will he sell to the evangelicals down south, being a Northeast governor?
That's the bigger problem, Frank. That's the bigger problem, I think, than his personality. Because, look, the president right now, he looks weak. We want a strong personality. I don't think that's his problem. It's the Northeast issue. We just had that with Romney.
Well, I think they're both a problem because Christie went from being strong and tough-minded to arrogant. And that doesn't play well with the evangelicals or anybody. And I think that that's his biggest
All
drawback.
right, I threw out the term at the top of this interview of Clinton fatigue.
Right.
What about Bush fatigue? We have Jeb Bush, the former governor of
yes,
Florida.
I mean, that is a problem. I mean, we've had a dynasty. We've been talking about a dynasty, and that could come back to hurt Jeb Bush. Of course, he hasn't quite settled on whether he wants to run or not run.
I don't think his family wants him to run.
I don't think his family wants him to run either, and I'm not sure he has the fire in the belly. Now, it may be that if the Civil War, as I referred to it earlier, breaks out and seriously damages the various candidates, there may be a movement to go to Jeb Bush and say, look, you're the one who can heal the rifts. And that might be a possibility.
Maybe this is a question for Dee Dee, but I don't think he can get the right wing of the Republican Party.
Well, maybe. The thing you have to understand about Jeb Bush, and I'm really just done with the dynasties on both sides, so I think we need new faces. I think that Clinton and Bush have the same problems. People are tired of it. But with Jeb, remember, he has the Bush machine. Clinton has the Clinton machine. That is a huge, huge advantage to these other starters. So it's a big deal.
But can he get the right wing of the Republican Party?
I think he could, but he's got to lay out the amnesty talk.
But he's going to have to be the peacemaker. I don't think he can get them on their own. He's got to be seen as the peacemaker between the two factions.
But he's that type of personality. He's like George Bush 41.
Are there any dark horses out there on the Republican side?
I think they have a weak slate. I don't think there's
Bobby
anybody.
Jindal, maybe Rand Paul.
Bobby Jindal does
Rand Paul's not a dark horse. He's leading in the polls.
Yeah, but Bobby Jindal, I do not believe has the personality, the dynamism to really be a presidential timber.
Same as a secretary. You know, he's going to be the secretary of something, maybe energy.
What is your opinion of Bobby Jindal?
I don't think he comes across as a serious candidate right now. If you see some of his writing, and he's written some stuff, it doesn't look very professional.
I think your dark horse is Perry.
amateurish.
I think your dark horse is
he's
Perry.
also under indictment, and I know a lot of people say that this was a politically motivated indictment, and there's some validity to that. But it doesn't look good when the governor or a president...
It's a silly indictment. I think he can get past that.
I understand that, but most people don't understand the nuance in Iowa, and they don't understand the nuance in Washington State or wherever he might run, or
but
in
the
early
hardcore
primary.
primary voters do. He looks like a hero standing up to them. So if he's able to survive it, he could be your dark horse.
Is it too early for you guys to make a prediction? It's way too early.
Yes.
It's early.
We can't get into any predictions
But
yet.
I would say Rand Paul could really be the top guy.
So
here.
if I'm understanding correctly, you see Hillary Clinton and Rand Paul. We haven't even talked about Paul Ryan, for crying out loud, and he was the vice presidential
Let's go to
candidate.
Paul Ryan for a second, because I do not think Paul Ryan is believable. He has said things in the past that just don't make sense. And he does not know how to project himself with honesty and integrity.
All right.
That's a big problem.
We got 30 seconds. You have to give me the Democrat-Republican. If you would,
Well,
and it could change. We're not going to hold you to it.
I mean, I think Hillary will still make it through. For the Republicans, I agree that Rand Paul is quite a possibility. But I would look for peacemakers, and I think perhaps Jeb Bush might be one. I think Ryan might be another, seen as another peacemaker. It's much too early.
Dee Dee?
Well, it's probably going to be Hillary, but don't count out Biden. But it could be Jeb Bush, it could be another Clinton Bush, or don't count out Mitt Romney or Perry.
So we don't know.
We don't know exactly.
We don't
I don't
know.
even want to ask
we
who you
really
think might
don't
win.
know. It could be anything
Because we don't
goes.
know. There's a long way to go.
Hillary will win now.
Discussion.
Hillary's going to win.
All right, we're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we are going to predict who might occupy the White House. We've done this already. And now we're going to look into the most recent primaries and how they shake out as we head into this general election. We'll be back in just a moment.